Okay, so let's dig into this. We've got Microsoft posting what, $70 billion revenue last quarter? Just huge number.
Absolutely massive, a real financial powerhouse.
But then almost in the same breath, they're making headlines cutting 7,000 jobs. That's about 3% of their workforce.
Yeah, it seems like a contradiction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On the surface, at least.
Exactly. Makes you stop and think. So that apparent contradiction, that's really our focus for this deep dive.
It really highlights how the tech world works now. Strong earnings don't automatically mean, stability across the board.
Right. And we're basing this on an article you shared from TechForge, published just yesterday, May 16th, 2025. The title sums it up. Why Microsoft is cutting roles despite strong earnings. So our mission here, for you listening, is to get past those headlines. What's the actual strategy? What's driving this decision?
And the article makes it pretty clear pretty quickly. It's not about poor performance. It's framed as a strategic shift.
Towards AI, right. That seems to be the key.
Definitely. Phrases like fewer layers, more engineers jump out, and this massive investment in artificial intelligence. That's the core theme.
Okay, so let's start with the money. $70.07 billion in revenue. They beat Wall Street estimates. So financially, they're solid.
Solid, no question about that. They're coming from a position of strength.
Then you see this other number, up to $80 billion planned investment in this fiscal year.
An enormous figure.
And where's that going?
Yeah.
The article says overwhelmingly into data centers, specifically for AI.
Exactly, for training and running these complex AI models. That seems to be the big driver for these organizational changes.
It starts to make more sense when you think about what AI actually needs. The article calls the models compute-heavy. What does that mean in practical terms? Like, they just need way more processing power.
Precisely. We're talking a whole different scale of computation. It mentions needing new hardware, massive storage, sophisticated cooling, more power. Building that kind of infrastructure, it's not cheap. So it looks like they're shifting resources, making cuts in some areas to fund this huge AI build-out.
It seems the cuts aren't just random. The article points specifically to middle management and non-technical support roles.
Yeah, not primarily the core engineering teams.
So why those roles? Is it just about cutting costs?
That's part of it, according to the article,
Yeah.
reducing overhead. But it also suggests it's about speeding things up.
Like making product development faster.
Exactly. Getting rid of some bureaucracy, maybe. The idea seems to be a leaner structure, more engineers, fewer layers between them and the decision makers.
That lines up with what you hear about the pace of AI development. Need to be agile.
Right. And the article quotes an analyst, Rishi Jaluria from the Financial Times.
What did he say?
He basically said tech giants like Microsoft just got too many layers. He sees this as part of a bigger trend, companies trimming bureaucracy to really chase that AI leadership position.
Interesting. So it's not just Microsoft doing this.
Apparently not. The article also mentions reports about LinkedIn, which Microsoft owns, having similar cuts.
Okay, so it's a company-wide strategy, not just one division.
Seems that way. And it fits a pattern. The piece notes that Amazon, Google, Meta, they've also been making similar moves.
Streamlining management, empowering the product teams.
Right.
Yeah, you hear about that a lot.
It really feels like an industry shift. And the article is careful to point out this isn't like the performance-based cuts we saw back in early 2024.
Right, that's an important distinction. This is presented as structural, about strategy, not individual output.
Which tells you a lot about how central AI has become to their long-term plan.
So back to that $80 billion for AI infrastructure, the article really hammers home that these data centers are crucial. They're the foundation for their large language models, the NLP tools, enterprise AI, basically everything.
They need to be the AI backbone, as the piece puts it. Without this massive infrastructure, the AI itself can't operate at the scale they need.
It feels like they're trying to own the whole stack from the foundational infrastructure upwards.
Absolutely. It's about securing that first mover advantage they got with OpenAI, perhaps, but also competing long-term with Google, Meta, Amazon. Everyone pouring money into AI. Owning the infrastructure is key.
What about the people inside Microsoft? The article touches on employee reactions.
Yeah, it mentions sort of a mixed bag. On one hand, some understanding of the strategy,
Okay.
but also, naturally, concerns. Job security worries, how teams will function, what happens to support roles.
And maybe what happens when you remove those middle manager layers? Who handles mentorship, coordination?
Exactly. Potential confusion, maybe? It raises those questions about balancing efficiency with, the human side of running a large company.
And that brings us to the wider implications for the whole industry. Microsoft doing this, despite huge profits, it sends a message, doesn't it?
It really does. It signals that strong revenue alone doesn't guarantee stability anymore. AI growth is now dictating organizational structure in a big way.
Puts pressure on those middle management and non-tech roles everywhere, I imagine. You have to show how you directly support the AI push.
Demonstrating direct value in that context becomes much more critical.
The article also raises good long-term questions, right? Like, how do you keep innovating at top speed while also maintaining the internal support needed?
Yeah, that balance is tricky. Removing layers might speed things up now, but what about long-term knowledge sharing, training new people? Does that get harder?
And the role of people in guiding AI, that's still crucial, isn't it? You can't just automate everything.
Absolutely not. You need human oversight, strategic direction, ethical considerations. That doesn't go away.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the main takeaway seems clear. Microsoft's cuts, even with record earnings, are a calculated strategic bet.
A huge bet. Prioritizing AI infrastructure above almost everything else, it seems. And it reflects this broader industry race.
So it leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty big question to ponder. As AI keeps reshaping everything, how do companies strike that balance? The balance between pushing the tech forward relentlessly and nurturing the human elements, the collaboration, the mentorship, the strategic thinking that are still essential.
Right. And what are the potential hidden costs or, unintended consequences down the line of this industry-wide move towards leaner AI-focused structures? Something to definitely keep an eye on.